Now, the city of Seattle has reached a USD 29 million settlement with the family of a 23-year-old graduate student from India who was struck by a speeding police officer as she crossed a street in 2023. Jaahnavi Kandula was hit by Officer Kevin Dave, who was driving as fast as 119 kilometers per hour in a 40 kilometer per hour zone as he responded to a drug overdose call. He had his emergency lights on and had been using his siren at intersections. In fact, a chilling body cam video also showed the police officer laughing on phone with a friend right after he hit her. Let's listen in.
Yeah, totally. All right, brother. Well, yep. I'm sure TCIS is. And oh, he's good. He says, well, normally we don't give voluntary statements. And I said, hey, you're going to have to decide if you wanted to give a statement or not. But it does not seem like there's a criminal investigation going on. Otherwise, there would be other... What's that? Yeah. Otherwise, there might be other people arriving, correct? Yeah, I mean, he's going 50. That's not out of control. That's not reckless for a trained driver. Yeah, lights and sirens.
And now, viewers, let me show you what actually happened in this case. So what happened to Jaahnavi Kandula? Let's talk about that. All right. So now Jaahnavi Kandula was a 23-year-old Indian student in Seattle. That's about Jaahnavi, her age and the city she was in. Can we have the next slide? She was crossing in a marked crosswalk on January 2023. So that is the detail emerging. And now Seattle police officer Kevin Dave was responding to a drug overdose call. And clearly he was, of course, speeding. He was going 74 miles per hour in a 25 miles per hour zone. That's, of course, a case of clear negligence and speeding. And Officer Kevin Dave struck her while driving very fast. So, obviously, if he's moving this fast, he strikes her and her body was thrown 138 feet and she died on the spot, viewers. So look at the impact of the car that hit her. You can imagine the speed with the kind of... Now, the body cam footage showed another officer laughing and mocking her death, which is even more shocking and annoying. Kevin Dave was fired from the police department after the investigation, which is an obvious consequence that we're seeing here. And no criminal charges were filed against the officer who killed her, which is, of course, a shocking revelation. The city of Seattle agreed to pay $29 million to settle. But of course, the life, viewers, has been lost. And whatever the money is in question, that really doesn't make a difference. A young life really has been lost. I have Aditya Vadhavan joining me with more details. Aditya, what more can you tell us?
Well, absolutely. Vishali, this girl, Jaahnavi Kandula, has been working towards a master's degree in information systems at the Seattle campus of Northeastern Universities, and definitely, if you see, the attorney Erica Evans said in a statement that Jaahnavi Kandula's death was heartbreaking, and the city hopes this financial settlement brings some sense of closure to the Kandula family. And Jaahnavi, she further said, and I quote, Jaahnavi Kandula's life mattered. It mattered to her family, her friends, and to her community. So definitely, she was hit by Officer Kelvin Dave, who was driving as fast as 119 kilometers per hour in a 40 kilometer per hour zone as he responded to a drug overdose call. And clearly, the city of Seattle has reached a USD $29 million dollar settlement with a family of a 23-year-old graduate student from India who was struck by a speeding police officer as she crossed the street in 2023. So, definitely attorney for Kandula's family did not immediately respond. The parties filed a notice of settlement in King County Superior Court last Friday, the local news. So clearly, at this juncture, it is a matter of concern. And, diplomats from India sought an investigation.
All right, Aditya, stay on with me. I have Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta. He's a former ambassador joining me on the broadcast. Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta, a settlement has been made in this case, but a young life was recklessly put to end. What would you like to say?
Good afternoon, Vaisali. You see, this is a criminal offense. The officer who actually hit that girl and killed her, he normally should be prosecuted and he would be imprisoned. Now, in order to avoid that imprisonment, they have reached the settlement directly. Now, this is the procedure in US, where even in criminal offense, if the two parties agree for a settlement, then the case is dropped and crime charges are not followed in the court. So, basically, to avoid the criminal case in the court, this settlement has been reached between the two parties. So this is, this is not possible in Indian system. In Indian system, even if you reach a settlement, the criminal case continues in the court, and the officer concerned has to face the criminal charges, and if convicted, he has to, go to the prison. But in US, it is very, very different, and I think they are utilizing that. The police officer who committed this crime should not be imprisoned. The case should not be go against him in that court. And to avoid that, they are paying this much money to the family of the victim. And this has been done by the city police, because the city police controls the police system, and therefore the city is responsible for the payment. The city is going to make the payment. This is how the system works in the US.
Ambassador
and
Gauri
this amount is actually negotiated between the family of the victim and the city of Seattle. So the negotiation must have been held between the two sides. They must have agreed, and then only this amount is being paid. Over to you, Vaisali.